Okay, Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abayim, welcome everyone. We're going to go away from our regular schedule, and this week, tonight, is the Yartzeit of one of the greatest Hasidic masters of all time, the Holy Rebbe, Rebbe Elimelech from Lezhensk. As we're speaking, there are thousands upon thousands of Eden who are in Lezhensk, who made the pilgrimage to the holy grave of the Rebbe Melech in the town of Lezhensk in Poland, a small village in Poland. And it's a big schus, and we're all there with them. You know, even if we're not there physically, we're all there mentally. And obviously, as the Baal Shem Tov teaches, wherever our thoughts are, that's where we are. We generally Thursday night we do something from the Zohar, and I figured instead of going into something deep, we'll just say a little bit of a prayer from the Zohar that we actually say every time we take out the Torah, and it's a tish, it's a Yartzeit tish. So we will we'll sing a little bit. A few two tunes that come from this week's parsha from the Zohar. I would tell Laser Wolf, he asking a question about the Indian of the Partsufim and so forth. I would suggest to check the book from Rabbi Arya Kaplan, Inner Space. He explains all of these issues, and you know, plainly, in Judaism we believe in only one God, and anything else is just how God relates to us, but it's only one. Now, some more, I would say, more developed ideas of other religions might say similar things, but the difference is that their views are false and ours are true. But meaning that they'll also say no, they only really don't believe in one God and they don't believe in many gods. Um, but the old ways of all of those was they did believe in many gods. It was only the influence of Judaism that came about to the one. Um, Even in religions that are very far from Judaism, have that influence because Shlomo HaMelech did rule over all of the world. So the influence caused the false religions to become more sophisticated, but still not. They don't have the truth. So, but it's not definitely not, God forbid, polytheistic. There's only one God, without any question, and the Zohar makes that very very clear. That all those things are just the way God um, uh, the way God went toward us. Um, I wouldn't say, God forbid, that the Yemenites are wrong for making the Rambam their patron rabbi. The controversy, for the most part, um, has been done away with, and the vast majority of the things that the Rambam teaches are also agreed to by the Mekubalim, by the Kabbalists, and and what people don't understand, there are the two major groups of the Taimanim, the Baladi and the Shami. And the Baladi also believe in the Zohar. They just have less emphasis on it, but um, it shouldn't be misunderstood. Um, Obviously, they believe in it because they do include the um, the Berich Shemay in their prayers. Um, as far as saying to place the Rambam before the Talmud, We all do that because the Talmud is not halacha and the Rambam is. The difference is that we place the Shulchan Aruch before the Rambam because when there's something else, we will go by the Shulchan Aruch because that's what most of the Jewish people have accepted. But the Taimanim have the right to follow the Rambam, the halacha. Okay. All right. So there were certain heretical groups that were influenced by the um, by the Enlightenment, small groups that you know rejected the Zohar, but they were influenced not from sources. They were basically the equivalent to Reform in Yemen, and so like groups like the Dor Daim are basically the same like Reform Jews, basically. Um, and all the Yemenites, both the Shami and the Baladi, agree with that. So they know better than us. If they're the Rabbanim of Yemen made that clear. I don't understand it because I don't know the culture, but in such a culture, particularly such a pious culture as Yemen, that group would be the equivalent to what Reform is in America, even if their views are not as extreme. But it would be, such a the difference between them and the mainstream Yemenites would be similar. Um, but the big difference, though, is Reform have a majority in America, and the Dordaim are a small minority that all but died out, and then other groups are trying to take their claims, but it's not what's accepted by most of Klal Yisrael. All right, so we want to start off with two tunes that people might know. The first one, Rabbi Victor Miller of blessed memory, and this way we'll fill our Zohar for the week. This because they come from this week's Zohar. The first one, Rabbi Victor Miller um, said, was the national anthem of the Jewish people. And the words are Ana Avda de Kutshabrichu. Now, Rabbi Victor Miller was not a big Kabbalist, this and that, but obviously we see he did believe in the Zohar because he didn't take it out of the Siddur, the Brich Shemay, and he sang this tune often by Shalashudis, what I read. And the words, and even if he disagreed with things in the Zohar, he agreed that it is part of our canon of Midrash, even if even if there are different opinions and different Midrashim, that's fine. Um, but to totally disregard it is really outside of the norms. Everybody, the Mishnah Berurah quotes the Zohar, the Vilna Gaon, everybody, all the different schools, and even the Yekas also they mention that some say, and the Yekas, they were big Kabbalists by the Yekas, the Shla Kodesh, and so forth. So they will include Brich Shemay in the Siddur. All right, so I'll start with this first tune. The words are Ana Avda de Kutshabrichu, which is Aramaic for I am a servant of the Holy One, blessed be He. I am a servant of God. It goes like this. Ano, 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 Avda de Kudesha Barichu. 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 Ano, 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 Ay, Avda de Kudesha Barichu. Ano, 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 Avda de Kudesh Barichu. Ano, 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 Avda de Kudesh Barichu. Ano, 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 Avda de Kudesh Barichu. Ano, ano, ano. Avda de Kudesh Barichu. Ano, ano, ano. Avda de Kudesh Barichu. Ano, ano, ano. Avda de Kudesh Barichu. All right. Well, that song was it's something sung in the Hasidic circles. The next song is one that's not really sung in the Hasidic circles, but nonetheless, it's also from that same passage, and this is a song that's sung in the modern Orthodox circles when finishing the tune, the prayer Brich Shemay. May anarachit v'lishmei kadisha yakira. Anare matush bechon yeherava kadamach desiftach liboi b'yoiraisa v'sashlim nishalin delibori Beliba de cholam avabach Yisrael L'tav l'chayin v'l'shlam Amen. Those words in Aramaic, they mean we trust in you and to your holy and dear, glorious name do we declare praises. May it be your will that you open our hearts to the Torah. And you should answer you should answer the requests of my heart and the heart of all your people Israel for good, for life, and for peace. Amen. So as I said, tonight it's the Yartzeit of Rebbe Melech. We'll have next month also the Yartzeit because it is the double month of Adar, but tonight it falls on Thursday night. So we'll learn a little bit from the Holy Rebbe Melech. I just want to check. I'm not sure if there's anything from this week's parsha in the Noam Elimelech. Actually, this is the only parsha that the parsha does not have something in the Rebbe Melech, but I'm not sure. Yeah, there's nothing in the Noam Elimelech on this week's parsha, but we can talk in general about the Holy Rebbe Melech, and then at the end we'll sing another song that's tribute to the Rebbe Melech, and then I'll give you a link to a song that's a much better singer than myself. So one of my friends noticed that it's also the Yartzeit of the Kasher Rav. Okay, let's find. We have some things. There's a website, mysatmer.com, which is very nice if you can read and understand Hebrew. It has just a lot of, not only all the writings of the old Satmar Rebbe, the whole, not everything, but the Sefer Divrei Yol on the Parsha. He had other books as well, but Divrei Yol on the Parsha and Vayol Moshe and Ala Geula, and then also different books that come out on the Parsha every 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 week, which are very nice. So I'm just going to read to you what it says here. Um, what's the title? The website is mysatmer.com. I'm not sure what you're asking about the title, but here I'll give you the link, though, to what I'm reading from right now. Oh, the title of the song. It's just the Nigun of Rebbe Elimelech from Lezhensk. If you look up on on YouTube, um, I mean the other two that we had were Ana Avda the Kutchabrichu and Beyana Rachitz from the Zohar, and then the tune we'll sing at the end is the tune of Rebbe Elimelech from Lezhensk. If you look up Noam Elimelech in the in YouTube, you'll find the video. Um, so we're in this. Does it say what page we're on? It used to. It's page Yud Daled, page 14 uh, of this link in the PDF file that I gave you. It says Hilula Tzadika, the Tzadikaya. Um, and every week it talks about the Yartzeits of the different Rebbes coming that week. So it says like this. Harav Kodesh Harebi Reb Elimelech Lezhensk Schus Yiganleinu Nolad B'Shnas Tuf Ayin Zayin. The holy Rebbe Elimelech Lezhensk, may his merit protect us. We will be protected in his merit. Was born in the year Tuf Ayin Zayin. That's this is now Tuf Shin. So then that'll be Tuf Shin is 57, and then Tuf Tuf Reish would be 56. So 54. We're in the year 5477. It's almost 300 years ago. That would be 1707. No, 1717 is when right, because it's 5477. That would be the year 1717. Aviv Tzaddik Rebbe Eliezer Lipa and Zechron Levracha. His father's name was Eliezer. I think on the tombstone it says Elazar. I'm not sure, but and then Elimelech at stake is Mars Mirel Allah Shalom. That his the mother's name was Mirel. So if you want to say his name with his mother's name is Rebbe Elimelech ben Mirel, or if you want to say with his father's name, Rebbe Elimelech ben Eliezer Lipman. Asher Harav Kodesh Harav Rebbe Zisha Heid Shesharsa Shechina V'Malkam She'amar Imay Birchas HaShachar. So the Rebbe Melech's older brother was the holy Rebbe Zushia. And he taught that the place where his mother recited the morning blessings, that the Shechina, the divine presence, rested. And she was worthy to these holy sons that enlightened the whole face of the world in the merit, as a reward for her extra tznius, her extra modesty that she had. Um, it says that her father had a bar, had a saloon, and she would, be giving out the the drinks. I don't know if it was a bar, if it was a beverage distribution place. But anyway, it seems like it was a bar, and she would tend the bar, but he wanted to she wanted to keep these drunk um, heathens away from her. She covered a part of her face with a shmata, with a cloth of some kind, with a veil, and she would talk like like she had a speech impediment and different things like that. And it was revealed to her from heaven that in the merit of this she would be worthy to righteous children. So the tradition says that the Rebbe Elimelech, was brought to the ways of Hasidic Judaism, Hasidus, through his brother, the Rebbe Zusha. And this is the story of how the Rebbe Melech became a Chassid. The Holy Rebbe Zusha was poor, and he was traveling, wandering around all over, and he came to his uncle Reb Pilit, who was the Gaba, the Meshamish Bekodesh, by the Holy Maggid from Mezritz, who's the successor and the student of the Baal Shem Tov. And there he was known to the Maggid, the Holy Maggid, to learn the ways of serving Hashem. So one of the days, um, the Rebbe Zusha came to Shineveh, which is where his brother, the Holy Rebbe Melech, lived. And his brother was embarrassed to bring him into his house with torn clothes. So he found him somewhere to stay by the baker, the house of the baker. But the baker, he wasn't able to do his work in the day and sleep at night because he was praying and studying with a loud voice and with tremendous enthusiasm day and night. And so then the Rebbe Melech brought his brother back into his house, and he started to honor him when he saw his service to God and his great holiness. Um, and he said he should make a meal in his honor. But the Rebbe Zusha said that he doesn't eat anything until he himself personally checks the knife of this shochet, of the slaughterer, before the bird, the chicken, whatever, was slaughtered. And the Holy Rebbe commanded that they should bring the shochet, the slaughterer, and he should show him the knife. And the Rebbe Zusha looked at the knife. He said, "The knife's no good." He tried again and again. He couldn't get the knife to be good. He couldn't have a good knife. And he brought other knives, and the Rebbe Zusha said none of them are any good. And when the shochet saw this, his heart was broken. And he tried to bring another knife, and he said this time the knife was good in his eyes. And the Rebbe Melech was very amazed by this thing, because he said that the knives really didn't change. Why weren't they any good? Um, and he says, I know the shochet, and everyone recognized him to be a pious individual. And his holy brother answered him, until now he brought me the knives out of arrogance, so that's why they didn't look good in my eyes. He was very proud of his knives. This last knife he brought me with a broken heart, with humility. And then it was good. And the Rebbe Melech was very impressed by this exalted divine servants of his brother, and he asked him to teach him his special way in serving God. So then, um, the Rebbe Zusha brought his brother to the Holy Maggid, who showed him extra care, extra love. The Holy Tzaddik, the Reb Nachumche from Rachmas Drivka, Secher Tzaddik Levracha, may his memory be a blessing. So the Rebbe Melech could have been by the Baal Shem Tov, because when the Baal Shem Tov, the holy Baal Shem Tov, died, the Rebbe Melech was in his 40s. But we know that the holy Baal Shem Tov, he was a student from the prophet Achia Hashiloni, and the Rebbe Melech had a spark of Achia Hashiloni in him. So really the Rebbe Melech, in a sense, was like the Rebbe of the Baal Shem Tov, because he was, in a sense, a spark of a reincarnation of Achia Shaloni, who was the Baal Shem Tov's Rebbe, and therefore it would be like the Rebbe going to the student. So when the Maggid Yogan Aleinu Al Shalom died, the whole Chevrai Kadisha, the whole holy brotherhood of the Chassidic Rebbes, all decided together that they're going to accept the Rebbe Melech to be the Rebbe of all the Rebbes, to be the successor, meaning basically the third in the line. First was the Baal Shem Tov, then the Maggid, and then the Rebbe Elimelech. And therefore, the Rebbe Melech really was the third leader of the Hasidic movement after the Baal Shem Tov, and then after the Maggid. The Baal Shem Tov, of course, was the founder of the Hasidic movement, and many people are not aware of that. They, because they feel that at that point it broke off, but still, all of the Rebbes accepted the Rebbe Melech as the Rebbe of the Rebbes. So therefore, um, he set his place of dwelling in Lezhensk. Many people came to Lezhensk to have the pleasure of learning and experiencing what it was to be in the presence of this tzaddik, and then his great power began to be revealed, and all the leaders of the Hasidic movement all gathered around him, and he was called in the name of all the tzaddikim all over Europe, all over Eastern Europe, as the Rebbe von alle Rebbes, that he was the Rebbe of all the Rebbes, and to all of the Jewish people is this light of the righteousness and holiness. It spread until the last day of his life, which was the 21st of Adar, which is tonight, in the year Tov Kuf Mem Zayin, which is 5547, which would be 18 which would be 1787. So he lived from 1717 to 1787. 1716 to 1787. So there's another tradition by the Chassidim. How was the father of the Rebbe Lezer Lipa? How was he worthy to these holy sons? So the Rebbe Lezer Lipa, every time when he went on the road with the wagon, with his wagon, he would always give a ride to anyone who needed a ride. So one time he was being judged in the court of heaven, and his attribute of kindness was the strong side, and it made his judgments good. But the Satan said that he's going to test him with this. So one time he went. It was a market day, and the Satan himself, the devil, came to meet him in torn clothes, and he had a big sack on his back that was very hard to carry on the shoulders. And the Rebbe Lezer Lipman, Rebbe Lezer Lippman, the father of the Rebbe Melech, he stopped his wagon uh, to take this old man, and he told him, "Get up on the wagon." And how did I lose that there? Here we go. So, so this old man said, I've already went many, many miles by foot, and you didn't say anything. And now you remember it. So the Lezlipa, he tried to justify himself, said he didn't see him until now. But he stood and he said he didn't want to go up to the he didn't want to go up to onto the wagon, and he said until the big city there's many small towns, and he wants to go by foot to collect money from to beg for money. And if he goes to the big city on the wagon, he'll lose money. So Rabbi Eliezer Lipa said he's going to pay him several times over, but he wants him to come with him in the wagon. But he also wouldn't accept this. So eventually, um, he tried very hard, and he said, um, he said, at least, this sack that's on your back, it's so heavy. At least let me carry that for you, and put that on the wagon. And he he wouldn't even that much. He wouldn't accept. And but he said, all right, I'll pay you to carry my my sack. And then Blazer Lipa, he brought it to the city. He was waiting for him to bring it. And when he gets to the city, he found that the poor man was already waiting there. He got there ahead of him, and he said that he was the Baldover, he was the devil, the Satan, and he came to test him. And you passed the test, and you were worthy in your judgment. Um, and he got an extra year added to his life from heaven. So he should have time to do perfect repentance, so he could inherit the world to come. And Rebbe Lipa, after that, he said, "What is this?" He's going to go on the. Why should he go to the marketplace? He should just go home. That's what he did, and he forgot all his business. He had one full year just dedicated to tshuva, to repentance and good deeds. When that year was done, the devil came back to him and he said to him, "Now I have good news for you. Uh, since you did like this, God is giving you an extra 20 years, but you have a choice. You can either be rich or have good children." And he chose good children, and that's how he was worthy to these holy sons, and it's in their merit that we still exist. So, um, let's see another. We can do more of these also next month. Um, so, the Rebbe Melech wrote a very famous prayer called the Tefillah Kodim Tefillah. His his prayer um, that the Holy Rebbe Melech wrote, it applies to every person, and I'll put up the link at the end that people can read the prayer and hear the tune from the Rebbe Melech. And it was a prayer that everyone could pray before God. It's called the prayer before praying, and it's printed in many sidurim. So the Saba Kadisha from Radoshitz said that one time he was in Lezhensk in his youth, and he saw a few guests who were very tall that ran into the house of the Rebbe Melech, and when they came into the door, they bent over and went in, and they locked the door after them. They were in there for an hour, and when they left, they ran out so no one could see them. So when the Sabakdish of Radoshitz asked the Rebbe Melech about this, he said that for a few years he was, thinking about prayer, how we set up the prayer. He said most people are not having proper kavanah in their prayers. They're not having proper concentration when they pray. So he wanted to set up a short version of the Siddur, a shorter version of prayer for most people, meaning that the holy people would still say all the prayers like we're supposed to. And then the simple people could pray a short version of the prayers that would be for everyone. And the Anshe Knesset Gedolah, who are the Anshe Knesset Gedolah? Those were the people from this beginning of the Second Temple, 2,500 years ago. The people from the last prophets and the first rabbis of the Talmud. Yeah, and the Anshe Knesset Gedolah, they felt that they should send a special delegation to tell him not even to change one prayer from the nusach, from the siddur that they made, the traditional siddur that we have. So after they spoke about it, he decided that he should write a special prayer to add before, instead of making the prayer shorter, make it longer. A special prayer before praying, and the person can pray it to open up the doors of prayer. And then once you do that, then you can pray properly. And that's the tefillah that's known as the tefillah from the Rebbe Melech. And even if you don't say it every day, tomorrow is a good day to say it, because before you pray in the morning, because it's the Yartzeit of the Rebbe Melech, and the same thing next month. Um, as far as how the prayer was written, the Holy Rebbe from Kalashitz, Schusi Galeno, said that the Rebbe Melech went with his students into the woods, and he spoke to one of them in one corner and wrote one part of the prayer. And each one, uh, they had a different part that they prayed, and each one had it went nice into the next part. That's how the whole prayer was finished. And since the Rebbe Melech was with them and stood over them, that's why it's called by his name of the Tefillah of Tefillah Rebbe Melech, the prayer of the Rebbe Melech. And there are different versions of the Tefillah from Rebbe Melech. The Biala Rebbe's had a different version, which they said was the original version, um, which also is worthwhile to look into. Anyway, this prayer is not only known to pray before prayer, but really is accepted among the Jewish people to pray this at any time of divine will. And the Holy Rebbe, the Rebbe Baruch Garlitzer, um, he did not like that people would say the Tefillah Zaka on Erev Yom Kippur, and he said rather we should say the Tefillah of the Rebbe Melech. That's in the Divrei Baruch from Rebbe Baruch Garlitzer. Um, a lot of people are worried about the Chevlei Mashiach, the suffering before the Messiah comes. But all the tzaddikim tell us, the Hasidic world, we have all said that the Rebbe Melech saved us, that we'll never have to go through the suffering of the Chevlei Mashiach. It's written in the book Nesiv Mitzvosecha, that from the Holy Rebbe from Kamarnas, it says like this, that the tzaddik murner of Avram Mordechai from Pinchov heard from the mouth of the Rabbeinu Rebbe Melech from Lezhensk, um, that it's a big chiddush to him. It's a big novel idea. The great Tanoim, the rabbis of the Mishnah, they saw with their divine inspiration, with Ruach HaKodesh, to the end of all the generations. And they wrote about all the difficult things and suffering that would be before Mashiach would come. And how could it be that they didn't see that Elimelech would be in the world, and all of these evils and all of these decrees would be sweetened, and Elimelech would nullify them. That's what Avram Mordechai from Pinchov heard from the holy mouth of the Rebbe Melech from Lezhensk. They say, it's not written here, they say that when they asked the Belzer Rav if the Holocaust and World War II were Chevlei Mashiach, and he said, Chas v'shalom, there is no such thing as Chevlei Mashiach, because the Rebbe Melech already did away with it. They say that he fasted for 21 years, 7 years to fix himself, and 7 years to fix his generation, and in the 7 years, by that time he was so strong, meaning he fixed all the generations till Mashiach comes. In the Sefer Malbush L'Shabbos in V'Yom Tov in Parshas Eikev, it says, I heard from my rabbi, the Tshoiver, who said in the name of the holy Rebbe, Rebbe Elimelech Zatzal, that even though there are many Bible verses that say before Mashiach comes there'll be big wars, the war of Gog and Magog, um, the Rebbe Melech accomplished with his prayers that there will be no more wars. Only that the one who's selling flour, he will stand in his measurement and he will sell the flour. And the one who's selling goods, like material for clothing. He will stand up and measure it, and it'll be like this, meaning everyone's just going to do their business as usual, and suddenly Eliyahu will come and announce that Mashiach has come. Ad kan Lashonai. Meaning we're not going to expect it. That was from the prayers of the Rebbe Melech. The Holy Rebbe from Tzanz, Chusya Galeno, he said like this: Kein ploim men tzimis vet menish essen. We're not going to eat any plum tzimis. And his son, the Shinover of Chusya Galeno, the Divrei Cheskel said, um, that from the decrees and the troubles that left behind, we could see what the Rebbe Melech was mevatel. Meaning, we still have problems. We still have suffering. We had a Holocaust. We've had pogroms and so forth. And we could imagine, I mean, even this was before, this was after the Shinover, even the Shinover saw pogroms and so forth. And what the Shinover is saying is that we see how bad it has been, that it would have been millions and millions of times worse if it wasn't for the holy Rebbe Melech, Lezhensk, was what he accomplished in his prayers. It's very well known that the grave of the Rebbe Melech is well-known place for pilgrimages for prayer. Many people, thousands and thousands of people come every year, all the time, all throughout the year, especially on the holy Yartzeit. Thousands and thousands of people come from all over the world to be greeted with salvation and healing and so forth. Um, so and mercy and so forth. Baruch Hashem, I was worthy to be there one time. It wasn't on the actual Yartzeit; it was the day before, but still, it's anyone. If you have the opportunity, they say that anyone who's been by the, oh, we'll see what it says here by the Teres Tzvi. Um, so the Holy Rebbe Mendel Meriminov, the great Rebbe Menachem Mendel Rebbe Yosef Meriminov, he said that the segula to awaken to repentance, to tshuva, to be by the grave of the Rebbe Melech on his Yartzeit, and also Meir Permashlaner also said it's a segula for your Shemaim to go to the grave of the Rebbe Melech. And in the Teres Tzvi writes that it's accepted in the hands from the hands of Talmidei Chachamim and Yerushalayim. The Rebbe Melech before his death, he promised that anyone who would be by his grave, he would save him like in his life, and no one who visits the grave of the Rebbe Melech would die without repentance. And there's no end to counting this. The whole world is traveling every year to the grave of the Rebbe Melech. The Tver Shloim, that's the Teres Tzvi from Zedetchover, from Hershel Zedetchover. The Tver Shloim from Adamsk, he would go all the time to Lezhensk. But he was a Kohen, so he wouldn't go to the Tzion, but he would get to the closest possible place. And in the month of Elul, he would stay there for a few weeks in a row, and he would also pay to fix and the upkeep of the Ohel. And one time, in his way to Lezhensk, he went through the city of Krakow, And one of the Misnagdim, the enemies of the opponents of the Hasidic movement from Krakow, um, he asked him, "Why aren't you going to the graves of the tzaddikim who were buried in Krakow, the Ramah, and the other great tzaddikim?" And he answered that the tzaddikim after their death have no connection to this world except for the Rebbe Melech. The Rebbe Elimelech, he um, he purified himself so much that even after his death he would be with us. The Holy Rebbe from Chen Chenishov, Chen Chenishnov, he said the following: "There's nothing to travel to the Kivrei Tzaddikim just for no reason, except for on the Yartzeit, because the souls of the Tzaddikim don't come to this world a whole year, only on their Yartzeit. And so really, it's only worthwhile to make a pilgrimage to a tzaddik's grave on his Yartzeit. But to the graves of the Rebbe Melech and the Tzanzerov, it's good to visit them all year round because they have a connection to this world all year and all the time. And still, many people say it's still good to travel to tzaddikim, um, but uh, but they but we it's good anytime, but especially on the Yartzeit. Um, the mother of Mary Chiel from Maglanetza, was a granddaughter of the Rebbe Melech. And one time she wanted to go to Lezhensk, to the grave of her great grandfather, Rebbe Melech, and she went through the city of Krakow. And she stayed in Krakow by the house of the Marva Shemish, and uh, when he asked her what are you traveling for, and she said she's going to the grave of the Melech. And then he said, "What women going to a grave? What is this?" And so the Rebbe Melech came in a dream at night to the Marva Shemesh, and he said, "Why'd you tell her not to go?" And so then he said to her that she should go, and Zolpolon Alis Gitz, which is what we say to someone who's going to pray at a grave, that he should accomplish everything for good. Um, one time on Lag Bomer, the Avnei Nezer, the great Rebbe, the Avnei Nezer, from Sokachov, he had the Suda, the Tish, for the Yartzeit of Rebbe Shimon Yochai. And during the Tish, he said that there are tzaddikim that they can bring their body from here to Eretz Yisrael. But the holy body of the Rebbe Melech is still here in Chutz La'aretz. And he said, someone who knows the secret of the joy of the Hilul of Rashbi, of the Yartzeit of Rebbe Shimon Yochai more than all the Tanaim, who will know that also the reason why specifically the body of the Rebbe Melech, Schusik and Leino, remained here in Chutz La'aretz, outside of the Holy Land. Um, just mention a few other things about the Rebbe Melech. It's accepted by the Chassidim that it's a segula for every sickness that shouldn't come, chas v'shalom, to put under the head of a sick person above the book Noam Elimelech. And also, it's known that if a woman's having a hard time giving birth, that she'll be saved quickly. And this is very well known. I've seen this many times, that if you put the book, the Noam Elimelech, by the bed of a woman who's giving birth, she'll have a very easy childbirth. I see this by my own children, and and by many others. It's a very well-known segula. And it says specifically the first, a copy of the first printing of the Noam Elimelech, which was in Rashi script with the stars and so forth. And it's known in the book Derech Tzadikim that the wife of the Shem Shmuel from Sakatshov, she was having a hard time giving birth, and her father-in-law Davnei Nezer from Sakatshov, he found the Sefer Noam Elimelech, and he didn't have any other book, and so that he was looking for, because he said sometimes they would print all the books together, but he was looking for Noam Elimelech by itself, not printed with other books, and he was able to borrow this, and it was a segula to give birth quickly, and we see that specifically it's the first the first printing that's a segula. Um, but really, any printing of the normal Melech works as segula, and I've seen with other printings it also works. But the original printing, a copy of the original printing, is even a bigger segula. Um, and most printings are copies of the original, although now we have other versions too. Um, so this particular thing that I'm reading from comes from Satmar. Um, so to finish up, we want to mention that the custom of the Satmar of Schusi Galanim Kol Solmain, he didn't have any set shear, any set um, anything set to study books of the Hasidic masters. He would just read whatever he would come into his hands. The only one that was different was Noam Elimelech. Every Saturday night, every Motzei Shabbos, he would learn Tanav Eliyahu, the Medrash from Elijah the prophet, and the holy book Noam Elimelech from the Parsha of Shvuah, the coming Parsha. And these were every week like a rule that he would never break. And next month they're going to print more things. All right, we're going to answer a few of the questions that we have here. Um, so deep. Even though I see DP left already, I guess we'll answer what he says. Maybe he'll see the video later. He said, could you elaborate on Genesis 1:26? Taken out of the Eitz Chaim, let us make a man in our image after our likeness. Why is it in plural form? Was he talking to the angels? That is, and then Stephen says the heavenly court. Well, um, the heavenly court and the angels, it's all the same. There's another explanation that he's talking to the animals, and there's another explanation that he's just using the royal we. Um, and all of these are possible, like the Queen of England says, we are going to tea now, for example. Um, Wafe also left is in the Rambam against prostrating, praying at cemeteries. There are a lot of things that are said in the name of the Rambam that are probably not authentically from the Rambam. That could be one of them. Laser Wolf mentions when Moshe Rabbeinu sent his spies into Israel, they prayed at the kever of the Avos, the graves of the patriarchs. Um, so praying at the graves has a Torah basis. DP is right. The court is made up of angels. That's right. Stephen says, I don't see praying at graves in the Torah, but he's open to see this. And the answer to that is that it says that it mentions that they passed through Hebron, and so in the book of Numbers, um, and the Medrash says that that's why they went. Um, Also, Rachel's tomb, Beis Lechem, also known. So it's an old thing, praying at graves. Um, Okay, so I want to share with you um, Niggin from Rebbe Melech. Actually, instead of me singing it, I'll give you the link, and I encourage everyone to check this out because it's very nice, and it's much nicer than I sang it earlier on my own. But I think it's better to listen to this. Let me just find it, the link, and then it's very nice because it also has the prayer before prayer. I hope I can find it because I found it on my phone, and hopefully we can find it on the computer as well. Um, and then I have another video with the teaching of the Rebbe Melech I'd like to share. Um, so here's one. I encourage everyone, if you're just watching the video, um, search for Noam Elimelech, Noam. I'll put what you search on Google, and then you can find this. Search on YouTube like this. All right. Have a very good night. If there's any more questions, you can feel free to ask. Give a few more minutes. Okay. So just and Stephen, I see is back. I just wanted to. Oh no, Stephen never left. Okay. So just we had a few questions about why Ashkenazim pronounce the Saf, and so the answer that I gave was that the really the Saf should really be Thaf, but we pronounce it. Uh, in German, there was no th sound, so that's why we became Sov. But still, Ashkenazim should pronounce Sov. Um, and then the question also how about Kol Isha and how did they listen to Miriam and Devorah singing? So there's a few answers to that. One answer is, first of all, by Miriam was before the Torah was given, but the the you know but the answer is first of all the women were separate and the and also if women are singing as a group you don't hear two voices at once, so then it's okay. Not always okay, but uh, could be okay. As far as sin and sof tough and soft, I would say it's probably a much bigger problem, the fact that many of the Sephardim have forgotten that it's supposed to be tough. That the tough it's supposed to be pronounced differently with the dot and without the dot. And the traditional way was to pronounce the tough differently than the tough. And I think it's worse not to say any difference than to say the Saf, even if that might be considered wrong. Another explanation, though, is that all the 12 tribes had different ways of pronouncing Hebrew. We see this in the Bible. There was certain tribes that could pronounce a shin or a sin. There were certain tribes that couldn't pronounce the shin, and so they would ask them to, and the thuf and the suf and so forth. So they would ask them to pronounce the word shiboleth, and some would say siboleth, and and this is and each tribe had their own way, and so too the Ashkenazim have their own way, and the Sephardim have their own way. Um, and really, a dalid without the dot should really be dalid, and a gimel without the dot should either be gimel or gimel. And so, really, the most authentic way to pronounce Hebrew would be the Yemenite way, um, which, as Laser Wolf say, more Arabic pronunciation. But the thing is, if someone is of Ashkenazic descent, they should pronounce with the Saf, the Ashkenazic way. There's no question about that. It's very wrong, and people particularly doing it to copy the Zionists. It's very wrong for an Ashkenazi Jew when he's praying. I'm not saying if he chooses to speak Ivrit as a language, even though that's wrong, but many people do it, so then they're going to pronounce it like that. But when you're davening, you should pronounce it the way of your own tradition. So if you're Sephardi, it's the Sephardi way, and the Ashkenazi way, and really the Zionist way the is not the Sephardi way either. The authentic Sephardi way makes a difference between a Pasach and a Kometz, which the Zionist Hebrew does not. And that's different in the different communities. The Persians pronounce, they don't say Shabbat, they say Shabbat. They're pronouncing the the comets, and the Assyrians say Shabbat, not Shabbat. So everyone has their own way, and we sing Shabbos, and everyone should be, or Shabbos, depending on the diktuk of the particular text, sometimes Shabbos, um, also depending on the diktuk of the particular passage, and everyone should basically follow their own custom, not and not do the Zionist way for davening. If for speaking, unfortunately, that's a different issue. But for praying, no one should pray with the Zionist pronunciation. That's not the It's not the authentic Sephardic one, not the authentic Yemenite, not the authentic Ashkenazi way. It's a new way, and really, the Sephardim should do the authentic Sephardi way. Ashkenazim should do the authentic Ashkenazi way, whichever. And even among Ashkenazim, there are different ways of pronouncing. And then the Yemenites probably have the most authentic way, but it's possible that really all of the different ways that we have today, we're really going back to the 12 tribes. Um, and we have biblical evidence for that. Um, okay, thank you for joining us, and have a very good night. And the schus of the Rebbe Melech, if you have a candle, you could light a candle um, the for Rebbe Elimelech ben Eliezer ben Lezhensk, Eliezer ben Lezhensk, schus Yigal Salomein. And also, you can go to RebbeElimelech.com, and they'll bring a kvittel to the Rebbe's kever, so she'll be worthy to all the good hashpos. And try to say the tefillah kainun tefillah, which I sent you the link, and there are other links available in English and Hebrew all over the internet, and also um, Tzetel Katan. You can also find in English or in Hebrew various places on the internet. Very important. People say every day, but especially on the Rebbe's Yartzeit, definitely a good thing to do. All right, Pulsalis Gids. There's no Shalosh Shudas this week, and I don't know about the Sunday morning class yet. We'll see. Probably no Sunday morning class either. I'll be out of town. So thank you for joining us, and have a very good weekend. And I'll be back Wednesday night. All right. And if you Shalosh Shudas, you can call Satmar or something. You can listen to Satmar Rebbe's Shalosh Shudas, whatever, live. Okay. Have a good week, and a lot of bracha and hatzlach, especially in the schus of the Rebbe Melech.